And as people connect, as people connect, we're going to just let them listen. And just a few bits of information here. Um, what we're going to do today, you see a few of us that are wearing stripes right now. We're going to do a mock pregame. So we're going to pretend we've got a football game tonight. We all of us on the crew, we have the five of us plus our chain crew, and I think Joe Graham's going to be on the down box if I can picture this clearly here, and Brian Hoskins is going to be the 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 chains and the chain clip guy, and he's also going to play our moderator. But we're going to have a pregame. Eric's the referee. Alvin's going to play umpire. Joe Mado is going to be line judge, and Jeff Layton is going to be the head linesman. And yours truly, I'm going to play back judge. And we're going to go through a pregame. A couple other things, and this may not be directed towards very many people online right now. This is pretty much directed towards our association, but the reason why I'm bringing this up right now is that I'm kind of hoping that whoever is online right now, if you join our association, we've kind of started a bonus program for recruiting officials. And I'm going to leave it for Eric. Eric, if you can explain the bonus program a little bit. This was Eric's idea, and we all fell for it and thought it was a really good idea. And if your associations are interested in doing something like that, maybe you might like to take a look at what we have written up for this bonus program. But Eric, go ahead if you'd like.
Yeah, I don't think I can take all the credit. I think there was a lot of group collaboration. I just happened to put it down on paper, but we try to come up with something that would maybe generate some enthusiasm around recruiting. So the idea is that there's a bonus for not only new recruits, but for AFOA members that do the recruiting. If I can remember right, there's some stipulations. There's two different levels of officials. We have full field officials that would be calling tackle and flag. Maybe they might do chains and clock. But also allows you to be an auxiliary official, which is somebody who is strictly going to be doing clock and chains, working in those capacities, but they wouldn't be an on-field official. So the idea was if you're an AFOA member and you recruit somebody, a brand new official, I think we defined it as somebody who hasn't called football in the last 5 years. So, gosh, Andrew might even fit into that stipulation there. But there would be $100 bonus per new official recruited for each AFOA member, as long as that official calls at least 25 games, which in the course of a year, say you're a new official, you start by doing chains on varsity. You might run a little clock here and there. You might do a little flag. You might do some C-team tackle. That was a number we figured would be pretty easily attainable. So if you recruit an official that does tackle and chains, a little bit of everything, as a full-fledged member of ASA as an official, it would be $100 for the new recruit and $100 for the AFOA member that recruited that new individual. So there's two different people that would make the bonus. And just in case, because sometimes people will just want to start as an auxiliary official, if you recruited somebody in the auxiliary official capacity that also did 25 games at either chains or clock, the bonus would be $50 per person. So we also then said maybe the person who recruits the most could stand to gain an additional $100 bonus. And the minimum there would be you recruit 3 guys. Let's say Jeff recruits 4 guys. He's the king recruiter for the year. He's going to, and all those officials meet the stipulation of 25 games at least. He could make up to $500 in bonus money, or $100 for each new official, and $100 for recruiting the most. And then each new official also would get the bonus. New, a lot of times I think we like to get bonuses to new officials to cover some startup expenses, which makes sense. But in this case, we wanted to see if we could generate some enthusiasm with our own membership to get out there and do some recruiting and get rewarded for it.
Perfect, Eric.
They cover it?
Yep, it sure does. And whether this works or not, we're trying something. And I would encourage other associations to at least investigate and see how it's working for us. And at that point, you guys can decide. And if you want it to be what do we call it, an associate member with AFOA, as long as you pay the money and become an associate member with us, you also can be involved with that. Is that correct?
Yep.
Eric? Perfect.
Yeah, definitely. Alvin, I think the stipulation is still working 25 games for AFOA. Would I be correct in saying that, at least?
Well, we
Is there
haven't
flexibility?
really discussed that because some of our associate members would meet that particular criteria.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. I will be sending out an email to AFOA members. Those of you that are on our Arbiter, AFOA Arbiter website, and you'll be getting an email with that information. The other thing before we get started too is the National Federation has a yearly points of emphasis. And this year they're focusing on helping the runner, a communication between coaches and game officials, and game management. And so here in Alaska, at these trainings that we're putting on now, this is our second for the year. And if you missed last month's training, we went over the new rules, and most definitely it won't be the last time we go over new rules. So you didn't miss much, but the only thing you might have missed is just a little bit of extra camaraderie right after our Super Bowl, because we had some good discussions about the Super Bowl. But anyways, though, Alaska's point of emphasis this year is going to be pass interference. And so each training, we're going to put a little bit of dedication towards pass interference. And we're hoping at the end of our pregame that we end up having, I've got about a 10-minute PowerPoint presentation on defensive pass interference. And we're going to focus just on defensive pass interference today. We're going to limit the spectrum of pass interference to just one focus. And that way, we're not going to be overwhelmed with defense, offensive, all the categories, and influences to pass interference, and as well as interpretations. But we have one of the things that we brought up at the last meeting was did have a coaches meeting, statewide meeting, and we got to attend that meeting. And the number one concern we got was consistency. And so we asked them to define consistency, because it could be statewide, could be crew-wide, could be game-wide, could be individual consistency. And so these state meetings that we're having on the Zoom right now is going to help with the statewide consistency. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start this pregame. If you do have any questions, please put them in the chat, and then we'll go through a quick question and answer at the end of our discussion. Is everybody good with that? Good. I see heads shaking. Perfect. All right. So to get this thing going, Brian's our moderator. He's going to introduce our crew, and we'll go from there. Brian, it's yours.
All right. A pregame, typically we have we should always have a pregame prior to every game. And the pregame is really just to make sure that, one, that we're mentally prepared in the game, and two, that we're all on the same page with how we're going to, what mechanics we're going to use, what kind of philosophies we might use on certain kinds of plays and calls. So I'll start out and let Eric, as the white hat for today's pregame, I'll let him take over, because he's going to probably introduce as he goes along. So Eric, you're on.
Okay, so yep. If anybody has any questions, we decided please put them in the chat. Brian will moderate. What we're trying to do here is to Kind of like we talked about, do a mock pre-game. You know, anybody who's done this for a while understands that unlike what fans think, is we just show up on a Friday night and we put stripes on and we go out. If we're doing our job, we've actually done some work beforehand to prepare ourselves. For me, that typically would be an email at some point earlier in the week with points of emphasis, or maybe it is a case play, or maybe it's discussion. It kind of depends on the game and the crew, the level of the game. I think the higher level of football, the more there is as far as a pregame goes. I know at the highest levels, there's a whole lot of stuff behind the scenes that goes on. So put a little something together. If you have questions, put it in the chat. Our crew today is myself as the white hat, Eric Wakescheider. We have the umpire, Alvin Aramburo. We have a back judge, and I think Bruce McKay is in that role. My head linesman is Jeff Layton, and my line judge is Joe Mato. So we're prepping this as a 5-person crew with Brian in the capacity of moderator and the chains as well, because they're at the very end. So, you know, there, like I said, every pregame might be a little different. Everybody does a little different, but the important thing is that we are preparing ourselves mentally. And as a team, we're preparing ourselves to go out and be in the best position with the best philosophy at hand, that we're all working as a team to be as consistent as we can within our game. If we all do that, also working with other crews, and hopefully we can build consistency within the association and statewide as well. Sometimes I might include, so I came up with, if I should probably share my screen. Am I allowed to do, can I do that, Brian?
Yeah, you can do that.
Let's see, what am I sharing here? That, share that. Hopefully everybody can see a pregame that I've got set up here. You see it, Brian?
Yep, I think we're good.
So I came up with a pregame for a hypothetical game. It's East at West. It'd be varsity tackle on September 15th, which I checked. It is a Friday night. As often is the case, I'm sure other associations are the same. Our games usually stack, JV 1 and at 4 and varsity at 7. So I kind of went with more of this is what would be my email in a real world scenario. So I would introduce myself to all my crew. I would say a little bit about the game. We're going to be at West this Friday. If you're on JV, the kickoff is at 4. So please be at the field ready to dress and ready to go by 3:30 so we can do our pregame for the JV game there. And who knows what that day is going to be. Dress. I'm the kind of white hat. If you need to be long sleeves and stay warm, you know, do. If you're going to be short sleeves, I'm not terribly picky about that. I mean, I do like people to look sharp, but for me, at least, short sleeves, long sleeves doesn't necessarily matter as much. So if you're on varsity, the kickoff here is at 7 p.m. So please be to the field by 6 p.m. and we will do our best to roll the clock in the JV game, because we do need to get that JV game over so we can properly get ourselves a little bit of rest and a little bit of mental preparation for the showdown on at 7 o'clock. I didn't do it in this particular email. Sometimes I might talk about team tendencies if we know something about the teams, if we know about formations or tempo, if we know about you know, just anything that let's say they have a couple hotheads on the team, we might want to discuss that. I might throw that out there in the email. I did not in this case. So in my email, what I would typically do is say, hey, a few things are going through my head before the day of the games. If you're on the wing, please do have a slow whistle. Please do come into the hash to let players know you're there and that the play is over. Please do try and work with your coaching staffs. If they earn an unsportsmanlike conduct, by all means throw it, but please don't go searching for stuff and don't have elephant ears. Please do work with together with cross-field mechanics, the wings in particular, to come up with the correct spot. Please do read through your keys, especially if you read pass play. If you're backside wing, do watch trailing action to clean up. Umpire and referee, please do count offense together. Please do look for possible chop blocks in the interior line. Please do converse to make sure penalties are administered correctly and from the correct spots. I know Alvin has probably saved many a white hat by stepping in and making sure we're enforcing from the correct area, the correct spot. I say this to myself as a reminder, please don't get run over by any big fast dudes. Ball is snapped from the 20 and in. The umpire is going to move under a post for, I probably should have said for a field goal, while watching center for protection. Otherwise, we'll have the backside wing move under the goalpost as per old mechanics. that doesn't make sense to you, that's okay. If a varsity crew would understand what that means, and if they didn't, we would have that discussion prior to the game. So if you're the back judge, I would say please do have a good play clock. I'm sorry. Oh. Please do have a good play clock. Hand up at 10 seconds with an audible 10, then an audible 5 with a hand countdown. Please do back up the game clock. Please do stay wide and deep on punt plays. Please do remember a field goal is a punt that can score. Slow whistle, please. Please do help us with big signals of killing the clock and maybe even winding it if we need to alert the clock operator. And do read keys on pass plays. Let's discuss with wings prior to the game so we're all clear on what's covering, who's covering what. And we'll get to that here in a little bit more specifically. Again, in my email body prior to the game, I would say a few more loose ends. If you hear any appropriate or threatening comments from the spectators, please alert the crew so we can have the stadium staff take care of that garbage ASAP. And a couple other little things here. So I like to end up my emails a lot of times with a case play. And we'll discuss that as a crew here in just a minute before we get going. This particular case play would be a scrimmage kick by K1 is caught by R1, who advances all the way to K's 10-yard line. During the return run by R1, there is a blindside block by R2 at K's 30-yard line, and K2 trips the runner R1 just prior to him getting tackled. What enforcement options do we have? So put that one in the back of your head. This first page, like I said, would be kind of an email just saying, hey, this is kind of what's going on this Friday. We're all together. These are some things we can think about. And then when we get together, and I borrowed some of this from Brian because it's pretty cool. We used this at a championship game last year. Please prepare to discuss these things at the venue before the games. We're trying to have a little pace here. We don't want to take an hour to do a pregame. We got a lot of stuff to do, and we still have to hit the field a half hour before game time. So in theory, everybody's read this email. If they've had questions, they've emailed. And if we can get out of that JV game in time, starting at 6 o'clock while we're getting dressed in a room that the school should have for us, we will start discussing these things. So is my crew all at the field and ready to go?
We're here, boss.
All right.
Present.
Hey, before we get into our individual points, guys, what do you think about the case play? Anybody have anything? Scrimmage kick, caught, returned all the way to the 10?
I've thought about this one pretty well.
Okay.
You know, do we want to discuss this right now, or do we want to do it right before we get on the field, Eric? I don't know.
I mean, we could do that too if you want. It doesn't matter to me. You want to cover some points
Okay.
first and go back to case play, or you want to do case play first? I don't care.
Blindside block by R2.
I'm gonna say we go ahead, and I'm gonna give you my feel. I've got offsetting penalties. We played it down.
Okay, Alvin's got offsetting penalties. Anybody have anything different?
I have offsetting penalties, repay the down, but I also have this as a double foul with change of possession. And I think R got the ball clean.
Okay.
Yep.
So they have a choice.
Yep.
What's their choice, guys?
Or decline to keep the ball.
Perfect. Where's our enforcement spot, Joe?
Is it gonna be under this year's rules or last year's?
This year. Let's go with
Okay.
this year.
Okay. you're
Are you
gonna go
talking
back-
about the trip? Are you talking about?
Yeah, if it's this year, I believe we're gonna go back to previous, right?
This year's has no bearing on it.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's only based on the fouls behind the line of scrimmage.
So I think what would happen there is they're gonna decline the penalty. K is gonna accept the penalty, mark off the yardage, and it'll be 1st and 10 wherever we end up there, right there. So.
And R keeps the ball, right?
Correct.
Okay. So did anybody get confused? Because I tried tripping the runner, right? Is that a penalty?
It is now.
It is.
Good. That's a new change, right? New rule change. Was that, I can't remember if it was last year or this year, but I know it's a new rule change. That is a foul now. So I looked this up in the case play. I appreciate you
decline
guys'
it.
feedback. R did get the ball clean hands. That's a great way to put it, Bruce. So if they do decline K's penalty, K then they can keep the ball and their penalty would be enforced at the spot of the foul, which in this case is the 30-yard line. So it would be 1st and 10 from the 45. Am I right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
We good? I see head shaking. All right, make sure I'm straight on this too, because I don't want to screw this up when I'm on the field. So
So
That's kind of-
would you like for me to cover the flag, Eric? I'll cover the flag, and that way you know, we have a spot of enforcement in case that flag gets picked up.
like in case a player picks it up or something.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
perfect.
oftentimes even an official, you know, I don't think, you know, I'm the one that threw the flag anyway, so I'm going to cover my own flag, but just as the backup, I mean, as the back judge, I'm gonna want to make sure that spot doesn't get lost.
Perfect.
I'd like to give a reminder to our chain crew, since this is a change possession and we've got a flag on the field, make sure you hold the chains and are not moving downfield prior to the next play. So be cognizant of when flags are thrown on the field, that you guys hold the spot before moving.
Yeah, great point. Because if they move, then we're gonna have some problems. They got to stay there until we can figure out what we're doing. And you know, if we lose our points of reference, you know, they don't know what the flags are for, so we might still need those spots, right? If we need previous spot stuff.
Yeah. So Jeff, that's going to be on you.
All right.
Yep.
I got it.
And we'll get there too, guys, because at the very end for the chain crew, that's kind of a point of emphasis for those guys. For everybody listening right now as well, the chains crew is typically sitting in with us. So they are a valuable member of the team, and we like to just have the chain crew involved in the pregame as well. So if you are assigned to a chain crew position on a varsity game, please get there early with the varsity crew. You're part of the crew, and we need you in the pregame as well. So let me go ahead and cover something, guys. I'm going to blow through some things. If you got any questions or I'm not being clear, please let me know. Sportsmanship, big emphasis on NFHS these days. Let's go ahead and let minor celebrations play out. They're okay as long as they're spontaneous. They're not directed at any other opponent or whatnot. So if they're shaking hands, doing a little bump or whatever, that's fine. Watch their language, though. You know, if they're frustration towards oneself, and we can talk to them if they're just frustrated, they made a bad play, missed a tackle or whatever. If they're loud enough for the sideline and the fans to hear, we probably are dealing with an unsportsmanlike. And if they are directed at an official or an opponent, we have an unsportsmanlike. And we probably have a flagrant as well, so that would likely warrant an ejection. Taunting, we don't want any taunting, so please use your proximity, you know, get in the middle of players. Oftentimes these kids won't do stupid stuff if they know you're there, but if they are, we have to deal with it appropriately. Standing over an opponent, definitely no. Let's not have any cheap stuff out there. Spiking or spinning the ball, it's going to draw probably a flag as well. Clapping in an opponent's face or other actions that we deem unsportsmanlike. So maybe we can preventatively officiate by having our proximity in there and using our voices. Again, let's try to not have them do stupid stuff because they know we're there. But if they do, then it's going to cost them. We have to figure out what we're doing, you know, what the level is that their unsportsmanlike is brought to. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Coach communications, definitely on the wings. You guys do your thing, right? That's your sideline. But just as a reminder, please know that there's a difference between a head coach asking a question versus making a statement. You're not going to really win a battle trying to discuss a statement, but answer a question if they're being respectful. You know, give the head coach more leeway than the assistant, surely, and call them early on. Right? Call them early on. You don't even give them a necessary if they cross the line. Whatever your line is, it's your sideline to manage. So also help us remember on the unsportsmanlikes, be it a player or a coach, that we know exactly when we threw it, who it was, because obviously if we draw two unsportsmanlikes, we're looking at an ejection from the contest. So we have to have our ducks in a row as far as that goes. Uniform issues. Let's try to clean these up when we take the field and you guys are walking around. It's going to be the easiest time to do it. Address those things with the coaches and the players at that time. Inform the head coach of any problems you might have. They don't want to get dinged with an unsportsmanlike. They don't want any of that stuff too. So I always find them to be pretty accommodating when it comes to helping us clean stuff up. Okay. If you're on the wings.
I have a quick question, Eric. You know, during that, before we get on, or as we get onto the field, you know, while you and Alvin are going to go talk to the coaches, we'll take care of the uniforms right then.
Beautiful.
You know, we can clean up any, you know, uniform problems, or, you know, if they've got war paint all over their face, we'll try to deal with that before the game starts.
Perfect.
Thank God we don't have to worry about multicolored towels anymore.
Hallelujah.
Yeah. So
Those
that'll take
things
one
I had to
burden
do.
off our shoulders for the night.
Yeah, and I always find myself too, guy. Like I'll say, "Hey, get that Ray Lewis stuff taken off," and I don't know, it's my age showing. I don't think these younger players even know who Ray Lewis is anymore, right? We don't want that war paint stuff just meant to intimidate. So I appreciate you guys taking care of that ahead of time. If you're on the wing, try to monitor who. If you see any problem players and they're going to be trying to come on with illegal or improper equipment, try to take care of it right there. Don't let them on the field. I know it's tough, but you know, if you can resolve it there, it's going to make it easier for us out in the middle. Okay. And then t-shirt colors that contrast with the color of the pants should be tucked in. All right. Kind of a, let's have them look sharp out there. They don't need to be looking like t-shirt hanging down to their knees outside their pants or something. Let's tuck it in. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Coin toss. We'll do that about 5 minutes before the kickoff today. So 6:55. I'm going to be facing the clock at midfield. Alvin's going to be opposite of me. Line judge, please bring out your home team captains with your speaker near me. Same thing with the head linesman. Bring out the visiting team captains, the speaker on my side. Make sure they know what they need to do. Again, these guys are varsity players, but I like to always ask them, please, on the sideline that they're not confused. They don't give me that their option is to kick when their coach clearly told them that they want to defer. Okay, let's try to preventively officiate if we can. Okay. All of us are going to be out there. If we have any dignitaries or guests, in my email, I said I had a youth football player. I may have them do the coin toss unless they give me anybody else that's a dignitary. Sometimes I like youth football players to represent as well. Any questions?
I do. Would you
Yep.
like for me to come out? Are you going to introduce us?
Absolutely. Yep. Have the crew come
Okay.
out. I'll introduce everybody.
All right.
Good question. Let's review kickoff positioning so we're all on the same page. Definitely being adjusted for the strength of the kicker. If you've got a kicker that's, you know, he's not going to kick very far, you're going to adjust. But if you got somebody who's going to bomb it, adjust for that as well. Okay. But the basic starting point is going to be myself. I'll be on the opposite press box. I'll be on the down box side between the hash and the sideline, right? Kind of straddling on the goal line. Umpire, you're on the 20 on the press box side. Head linesman, you're on the 30 on the head linesman side. I'm sorry, head linesman is on the headline your side, opposite the press box on the 30. Line judge, you've got the receiving team's free kick line on the 50 on the press box side, and back judge, you've got the kicking team's free kick line opposite the press box. Did I get that right?
Yep.
Sometimes I feel like I make a mistake there, so good. We wrote it down correctly. Assume every kick's going to be an onside kick until it isn't. Please clear your sidelines. Definitely clear the sidelines. Get all the coaches out of the white ahead of time. We'll start with them early on that.
Can I chime in on the clearing your sidelines for the kickoff, please? That's like, if we could all get on board with that, because that's something that I'm pretty particular on and not everybody's particular on that, and it's a safety issue.
Yeah, absolutely. If we do know, let's say it's obviously an onside position, we need to be communicating together. I might be telling you to push up. Okay, umpire and head linesman might be moving up so that we can at least cover the receiving team's kick line. So let's try to be game aware so we know when we need to move up and we can communicate to each other. Okay. Clock management. I'm trying to blow through these things quickly. We'll have questions, Dan, I promise. All officials, we're all there to help. Okay. We need big signals. We need to kill the clock together, big signals. Clock management is really important at the end of both halves when time becomes critical. And remember, sometimes I forget, please help me, that if we have an offended team in the last 2 minutes, they change that rule. There does not need to be an accepted penalty. But if you have an offended team, regardless of whether or not the penalty is accepted, we can put the clock, the game clock on the snap if they choose to. Okay. If I forget, please, please, please help me out there. Wings need to communicate with the crew whether the game clock's going to start on the ready or the snap, especially when the runner is tackled near the sideline and has gained a first down. Let's just be real clear. We're live, you know, we're dead, hands out of bounds. I need to communicate with the wings so I know the status of the game clock. Was the ball out of bounds? Was the ball in? Are we going live on my ready, you know, after a first down, or is it going to start on the snap? Back judge, please communicate. Let's over communicate the clock status, especially at the end of the halves. Okay. And if we're inside 2 minutes, you know, it's really hard for Bruce to have the exact time on his game, on his wristwatch, backing it up there. So let's all take a look at the game clock and just try to memorize those moments when we have a timeout or a penalty enforcement or something, so that we know what the time is in case the clock fritzes, okay? So we can at least get pretty darn close to it, okay?
Yep.
Counting our teams, ref and umpire offense, we know that. I'm gonna give a pump for we've got 11. If we've got, Bruce, what do you want to, or Alvin, what do you want to do if we're under 11? What's the signal that you like?
I just go thumb down.
Come down.
Thumbs down. Okay, Mike, bum shoulder. I'll do my best. And if it's more than 11, thumbs up, or we're good at thumbs up. If we have more than
No.
11, what are we doing? Count, count, count.
Substitution. That's what I do.
Substitution infraction.
I'll stand
signal.
there if they got more than 11, just like this.
Okay, I like that. Jeff, you good with that?
Yeah, that's good with me. I think
More
that's
than
okay.
11, we're here. We're good. We got 11. We have less than 11, okay? Counting the defense, going to be the back judge and the line judge. If the head linesman has time, he can chime in as well. Sometimes you do, especially if we got a good chains crew.
So Eric, real quick, sometimes I have a little bit of a challenge with counting and giving my signal to both the head linesman and the line judge. I'm going to just stay with Joe. And Jeff, you can, if you want to give a count, you give a count straight across to Joe if you want to give a count. Don't rely on me, okay? I'm going to communicate with Joe, and because he and I are going to get a tempo through the game, and we'll know each other's tempo. And I don't want to learn his tempo and your tempo. You two can chime across a field with each other, but I'll just get a tempo with Joe, okay?
Yeah, that works.
All right, so Joe, you and me, we'll just get a tempo between the two of us, okay?
Right, and the earlier the better on the count.
Yep. As a back judge, I can see players going on and off the field pretty well. And so my count will probably be very early.
Yeah.
Okay.
That works.
Perfect.
All right,
Good
cool.
discussion,
Thanks.
guys.
All right, thanks, Joe.
Whistles and signals, please have a slow, patient whistle. The play ends the play typically, right, guys? So if we're too quick on our whistle, we risk having the dreaded IW, and nobody wants that. If you cannot see the ball in possession of a player who's on the ground or down by rules, stay off the whistle, all right? Can't be more emphatic of that. Try not to mirror TD touchdown signals on the goal line unless you both definitively see the ball across the goal line. I mean, I would say there are times where you want to sell it together. User discretion on that, right? We don't just want to just signal just because somebody else is signaling. If you're totally shielded, maybe you're not signaling, but if you think it's a good chance, let's say, you know, Joe, you're definite that it's in, and Jeff, you think that it probably is. I mean, maybe you mirror a signal then. So you guys can discuss that. You are the team within the team, being the wing officials. Okay?
Bullshit. Never.
Pause and make eye contact with another official before going up. You know, it's still a touchdown 3 to 4 seconds later. If you have a tight play on a pass in the back of the end zone, you know, Bruce, maybe you're with a wing. You guys can look together, give some silent communication. I got it, or no, I don't. Let's not be too hasty to throw signals up too quick, because it's going to look sloppy and make your jobs harder.
Well, when we get to my part of the pregame, when we talk about it, I'd like to bring that up a little bit, okay? A
Perfect.
little bit more clear. All right,
Perfect.
go ahead, Eric.
Please do mirror stop the clock signals. If anybody's been in the clock, you know, running the clock before, if we're not mirroring stop the clock, then it's sometimes it's hard. We want to stop that clock as quickly as possible when it needs to be stopped. Okay, we don't need precious time ticked away because we're not signaling together. So everybody mirror the stop the clock signals. Do not mirror whistles, right? Unless there's another reason, 2 players are getting into it, or there's a foul or something like that. We don't all need to mirror whistles. The covering official can do that. Visually tell a story every play. So every play, right? So we're either killing the clock or the play is down and you have a hand in the air, the new mechanic to start the 40-second play clock. So we should be doing something, okay? Joe, line judge, I'm going to be looking at you. If it's close and it's a first down, right? You've got the best view because you got the sticks across from you. So just a reminder, I'm going to be looking at you. You can communicate to me if we've got a line to gain has been reached clearly, okay? If it's
Yep.
close, you can be telling me that too, okay?
Yep.
Guys, if we have dead ball fouls like encroachment, false start, any of that kind of stuff, do not let that play go off, okay? Chirp the whistle, get the flag up high, stop the clock. Everybody needs to know we got a foul and we're not going live with the ball, okay? Live ball foul, drop the flag on the yard line. You know, if it's a spot foul, we don't necessarily need the exact spot the foul was, you know, foul happened, but we need to know if it's on the 32 versus the 37. So please get it on the yard line. And also important to note when the foul occurred. Is it during a run? Is it after change of possession? Is it after the play? And that kind of stuff. That's obviously valuable information that we need to properly enforce penalties. Please beanbag fumbles beyond the line of scrimmage. Make sure we get a beanbag on those. Couple more things here, guys, and I'll turn it over to Alvin. So crew signals, make sure we're all giving a signal. It's dead ball, it's stopping the clock, it's incomplete pass, those big signals that our team needs, but also the clock operator needs. Make sure we're counting, thumbs up, thumbs down, or like we said, too many, we're going to give a substitution infraction penalty. That's going to say, yeah, if they snap this ball, that's what's going to happen. Your widest players off the
So
line.
Eric, real quick, I by rule, they have 3 seconds to get off the field. I'm going to give them that 3 seconds and maybe a second or two, but you know, I'm going to look at the intent of the rule. And you know, if they're making an effort to get off the field, I'm going to give them that opportunity to get off the field. So I'm going to keep I still got 12 until he's off, and then if we're clear, then I've got thumbs up. Okay.
Perfect. If you're on the wing and your widest player's off the line, please let us all know. You guys know that. You're good wing officials. I have faith in you. That being said, too, you know, if we have a backwards pass, let us all see that pump back, okay? I know some white hats like to put that on themselves if it's a backward pass, but there's no way I can see backward really as good as you guys can that have that vantage point from looking across the field on the line of scrimmage. So please, if it's a backwards pass, you know, boom, pop it back so we all know what the rule is, okay? Unbalanced line, I might put a hand in my face, Alvin, if we're heavy on the right or heavy on the left or whatever the case may be, I might give you an unbalanced line signal, okay?
Good, got it.
Double stakes, very important, right, guys? Let's make sure we don't lose track of where the stakes are and mistakenly we just went back and then came forward past the first stake, but we now think it's first down. We weren't probably communicating that to one another. Snapper protection, or actually that we have a scrimmage kick formation. Remember that? We talked about that with Bruce earlier. Let's protect the center and just know that that is a scrimmage kick formation, okay? Alvin, that'll be with you here in a little bit, right? And then foul reporting. I know that I'm guilty of it too. Sometimes I might come up and say, I got a foul on number 12, okay? Which number 12, right? When did the foul happen? What's the foul? Like, so let's help me out here. Let's all be a good crew that we all can enforce these penalties together. Make sure that as a crew we succeed. So who, what, when, and where. Very important. I know you guys all know that. But I figure if we talk about it now, we're going to do better out in the field later.
Well, I have a real weakness there, Eric. Like if there's a gang tackle and we have a face mask, 9 times out of 10, I cannot give you a number. I can just give you a hand. And I got to get better on that myself.
I think it's something we can all get better on, Joe. Probably that's a tough one, especially in the gang, you know, gang tackle. And so you can clearly see a face mask getting yanked, but you can't find a number. But, you know, if you can give me a number, great. We really want to be able to announce that, especially because we'll be mic'd up tonight. So I can put that through the intercom. Coaches want to know that information too. If not, at least we can get the penalty enforcement done correctly. But let's definitely try to get a number when we can. Try to get the number in your head. So. Cool. I'm going to turn over to Alvin then, guys, so he can cover some points of emphasis before we head out in the field from the umpire position.
Okay, thanks, Erica. What I'm going to basically do is just a reminder to you, I'm going to be opposite you depending upon whether our quarterback is right-handed or left-handed. And one of the things we want to check with the coach before we go out is finding out if they have both a left-handed and right-handed quarterback. So I will be lined up opposite of you. I'm primarily going to be emphasized looking at my area of responsibility, looking for the holding, low blocks, and chop blocks. Those should, when I'm looking for them, I'm looking for them to be fairly obvious. If it's close, I'll primarily kind of let it go. But those are the main blocks: the holding by the line, the low blocks, and the chop blocks. As far as every time I get up to the line, what I'm doing is I'm verifying the numbers, and I'm also verifying the numbers of the linemen 50 through 79 are eligible, or are sitting up on the line of scrimmage. As far as scrimmage kick formations, again, I'm looking at that center, making sure he's protected, but also looking at the exceptions with regard to, for instance, someone other than 50 through 79 may come in and be the snapper and also be on the line of scrimmage. So the numbers kind of go out of the way. We just have to make clear that I'm aware of the folks who are by number exceptions, and also be looking for anyone who's eligible in case that what we thought was going to be a scrimmage kick ends up being an actual play. So my rule is I'm going to really be there to assist in some of the pass plays that are coming across the middle. I'm going to be opposite you to be able to look and see, and pivoting to when I see once the ball is pitched, that I'm covering that. As far as setting the ball, guys, I'm gonna stay inside the hash mark, so get the ball to me. And we're looking to keep the pace of the game 10 to 12 seconds as far as the timing for getting the ball ready for the next play. That's all I have at this moment. Any questions?
Yeah, Joe and Jeff, I'm gonna come up and help you guys relay the ball. So look for me, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Very good.
I'll chime in too real quick and say, remember the rule changes here that shot blocks are now below the waist, not below the knee. So our definition has changed on that, okay?
Gotcha.
Jesus.
Anything else for Alvin, guys?
I'm good. Thanks.
Last thing I would say before I move on is remember, if the ready for play is not my whistle, then the ready for play is on a 40-second play clock when Alvin steps off the ball. That's the ready for play, okay? So I know Alvin's got a good rhythm, and I know we'll get to him quickly too. We'll spot that ball and he'll back out, and ready for play has been given, okay?
So I'll start my 40-second clock though, right at the end of the last play.
Yep.
Do you want me to give it a second or two delay, or do you want me just spontaneous?
A second or two. Sometimes it takes a second to reach your timer box anyway, so I'm not too worried about a second or two.
Okay,
Just get it
whatever it
started as soon
is,
as you
I
can.
will keep the same rhythm.
Perfect.
All right.
All right, Jeff, headlinesman, can you cover some things here?
Yeah, so first, just talking, kind of addressing the chain crew. So the biggest thing that I can say to you guys and myself too is that we're not in a hurry when it comes to moving the chains and the down box. Those spots are important, and if we have a penalty that takes place during a play, it's important that we have those spots stay where they were for the previous play. So it might not always be obvious to you on the chain or to me on one side of the field that something happened on the opposite side. So let's just be slow. Let's listen for those weird whistles. When I throw a penalty at the end of the play, I give my whistle a little weird chirp just so that it kind of stands out and everybody's ears kind of perk up. So let's just be cognizant of that, and also scan the field, look for yellow things on the field, because anything yellow should probably be one of our penalty flags. So as far as measurements go, if Eric calls for a measurement, and we'll communicate whether it's close or not to him, the wings will communicate with that. If it looks close, I might advise you, Eric, that you want to call for a measurement. And if I'm going to do that, I'm going to kill the clock before I do that. But when we have a measurement, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight to the clip, which should be on the back edge of the furthest back big line. I'm going to pick that clip up right on that link, and I'm going to carry the clip out to the equal spot on that same big line. The lead or the line to gain marker will be handed off to the umpire. And then further back end of the stakes, you can just hold that, but you're going to run the chains out with me onto the field and hand it off to Alvin. I'll get a spot from who's going to give me a spot on
I
The
do.
the
line judge will give
I
you a
got,
spot.
I got your spot.
So you're going to give me that spot. I'm going to set it down. We're going to say pull. Alvin's going to stretch the chain. Eric's
Bruce,
going to
you're
make,
securing the ball, right?
Yeah, I got the ball. I'll make sure the wind don't blow it or you don't kick it.
Yeah, perfect.
and then Eric's going to get his Alaska Airlines credit card out and make sure that it's all good. All right.
If you're in Barrow, you'll have to hold the ball. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So if we get a first down, I am going to wave you guys down. Don't move until you see me wave, but I'm just gonna do a big wave of my arm like this. Come on, guys. When you see me do that, come. I'd rather be embarrassed of how slow you guys are getting there than be embarrassed of you guys getting there too quick and us messing something up. So just wait for me to wave and it'll all work out. Quarter changes. We're gonna all take note of where we are on the field. I'm gonna grab the clip. We're gonna verbalize, I'm at this spot, you're at that spot, you're at that spot. The line of scrimmage is this spot, and we're all gonna go to our correct spots. I'm gonna set the clip down first. You guys are gonna set down into your spots. We're gonna make sure the chain is nice and tight, and we should be good. So any questions from the chain crew on any of that? Or anybody on the crew?
Like it so far.
Go ahead.
No, you're doing
Okay.
good.
Okay, cool. As far as just other mechanics go, as wings, Joe and I, we should be really paying attention to whether formations are legal or not. There cannot be more than 4 backs in the offensive backfield. And so if we have 5 guys back there, then we have an illegal formation. Joe, what I usually do is I'm going to tap my flag
Okay,
to
okay.
say that I've got a illegal formation. Also keep in mind that it is possible that we could have an illegal formation with 4 men in the backfield. If Fence doesn't have 11 players on the field. So something to keep in mind. Especially with the receivers that are coming out to the line of scrimmage, let's give them a little bit of leeway. Okay. If it looks like they're trying to get to the line of scrimmage, but maybe they're not quite there, I give them kind of about a yard within the line of scrimmage, and I'm going to call them on. And even, with the JV game, might even give them a little bit more leeway than that and kind of try to talk them into the right spot as the game goes on.
Hey,
So-
Jeff, can I give you a suggestion? Try not to talk to them during the play. Either wait till afterwards, after the play's over, say, hey, move up a little bit, I'll help you.
Well,
Rather than, get talking to them, move up during a play, because it might, give the coach across the field the impression that they had a false start and all you were doing was try to move them up to the line.
Yeah. The way I see it, Bruce, is I bought those flags to throw them. So I'm no, I'm just kidding. That's a great point. That's a great point. So
I've actually experienced that exact situation.
yeah. So as far as keys go, on passing plays, for us wings, we're gonna kind of take the guy who's furthest out on our side. Bruce, you are inside receivers. Bruce, how do you want to take care of the trips formations and things like that?
I will go ahead and take the 2 inside receivers if we have trips formation. I'll take them both because they're going to go into a zone. Eventually, they're going to go into a zone. That's going to go into a zone coverage anyways. And so anything inside I can take and that allows me to take the 2 inside receivers right off the bat.
Perfect. That's the best way to do it, I think. All right. And obviously, with each play, we need to be reading either pass or run. So if you're reading a run, that kind of goes into zone coverage too, So I think we're good on that. And then last thing I just want to touch on real quick is progress spots. So let's just give the ball carrier the benefit of the doubt on forward progress. So the only time where we want to be really, really careful about progress is when we're right down by the goal line. We need to be 100% sure that the ball crosses the goal line before we call a touchdown. Obviously, when we're inside the 10, what I'm going to do is at the snap, I'm going to crash to the goal line and then officiate towards the line of scrimmage. That way, if the ball gets to the line, I'm standing there. I have the perfect view of it, and I'll know whether it got across or not. So I think that kind of covers most of what I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else that you wanted to cover, Eric?
No, I like that. Especially, I would just add because you guys are experienced officials. I'm just going to say it though. If you read that it's going to be a run play and that's coming to your side, please back out of there. Don't get run over, please.
Yeah.
I don't need you going down on the ground again.
No, my knees don't need that again. So.
Okay. All right, we got just a few more minutes here, Joe. I'm sorry that we're running a little long. We got to get in the field, but can you give us some of your wisdom here from these points of emphasis?
Well, actually, Jeff touched on a lot of what I have here too. So basically, I echo what he says, and we are both working together in tandem. The only thing I can think that I would add to what Jeff did was the plays out of bounds. I will go out maybe, I don't know exactly, probably about a yard or 2 out, and then I will come back in and follow the players out of bounds. And at that point, I drop the beanbag because that's my spot. I'm not worried about that. I can always correct the beanbag later. But the main focus is the dead ball activity out of bounds.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no extracurriculars, right?
Correct. And this goes back to stay wide, because the wider you are, the more you can see. So if you get too close to him, you kind of get pinned in there. And I think that other than that, as far as spotting the ball, there's a couple things here. We go to the nearest yard line, and during scrimmage plays. We will kill it if it looks like it's a 4th down and maybe inches, it's close. We will kill it. Now, once we get inside the 20, we spot it accurately. Where the ball player and the ball's down, that's where we spot it.
So you're saying you and Jeff, then, if we have a spot in the middle of the field on a 2nd down play or whatever, you guys are going to bring it to an even yard line, right? Or sorry, not even then. I'm sorry. New set of downs. We're going to bring it to an even yard line, right?
Yeah, outside the 20, correct.
Right. When the spot doesn't matter, it doesn't matter if it's the 43.5 or the 43, right?
Yeah. And with that being said, Jeff and I will mirror each other in a play. So normally what I will do is from midfield to Jeff, whatever spot he's got, I'm going to mirror it. And likewise coming back to me.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
I was gonna say to touch base on the whether the receivers on the line or off the line. We were talking about that earlier. What I'll do is during my pregame is hang on. I'll go talk to the wideouts and instruct them to give me a signal on whether they're on or off. So if they point down at the line, then I know that they're on, or at least trying to be on. And if they point back behind the line, then I know that they're supposed to be back.
Yep, cool. Communicate that, after the play, you get that going with them. I think a lot of the stuff is doubled up between the wings. I like your added stuff there, Joe. I appreciate that. Talking about dead ball, out of bounds stuff. I know, Bruce will probably mention it here because he's going to be available and myself will be available for cleanup assistance depending on where the play ends. So let's just go ahead and switch into Bruce real quick. Go ahead.
All right. Thanks, Eric. You guys have included me with all the positions, so I'm, as a back judge, I'm not going to stand there and watch a football game. I'm going to be an integral part of the game, whether I'm, helping out with the plays during the play or cleaning up the play after the play. One of the things that we haven't touched on yet, both these two teams pass a lot. And so I'm going to be very conscientious about the momentum rule. If a defender intercepts a pass within the 5-yard line to the goal line, if his momentum is going to carry him into the end zone, I'm going to drop a beanbag where he caught that pass in between the 5-yard and the goal line. And I usually bring two beanbags out. This is one I use for fumbles, but this one here I use, it's a separate beanbag. I use this for my momentum rules, and I also use it for my post scrimmage kick. So I do use two beanbags as a back judge. I'm also going to use my black beanbag for like a first touching or fumbles. That way I differentiate between offense and defense as a back judge. A couple other things we talked about passing keys. I am going to pretty much, Joe, I'm going to pretty much do like I do for you as I did with Jeff, and I'm going to key on the inside receivers. So you guys, when you guys watch your snap key, you're going to key into the line of scrimmage. I can help out with I can help out with the inside receivers or any backs out of the backfield, because they're going to go into my zone area right away. If they go out into your zone area, that play is already developed. You know what type of play it is. If it's a run play, you're gonna, take on the run opportunities. But if it's a pass play, that wide receiver, you're gonna have to take that widest receiver and take him, and follow him, because I'm gonna have a pass route probably coming on the inside as well. Okay.
Yeah. Also with that, Bruce, on a wing, we got to hang around that line of scrimmage just in case the quarter, for looking for an illegal pass too. So that wide out is probably the only thing we can cover good.
Right. All right. That's super cool. I'm also going to have my beanbags on scrimmage kick and free kicks. So scrimmage kick, I'm going to be using my PSK beanbag, and that's the spot where the defense or B or R catches the ball, and because that is an enforcement spot. On my free kicks, I'm going to be reusing my black beanbag for potential first touching by K during that neutral zone, that first 10 yards during the kickoff. All right. Again, I'm going to have that 40-second, 25-second play clock. Eric, I'll do the 25-second play clock when you blow the whistle ready for play on the 25-second play clocks opportunities. So if you had a timeout or you had a penalty or change of possession, you're going to hack it in with that 25. I'll have that 25-second clock. Would you like for me still to do 10 seconds and 5 on that 25-second clock?
Yeah, I mean,
Similar
I
to
just
the
kind of,
40?
yeah, I mean, I'm not as, maybe on the 25, not necessarily. I mean, I don't even want you to count down from 10. Usually it's just a 10. Right? And then it's 5. They're only going to hear 2 numbers from you. So if you want to do,
Perfect.
I would say, let's be consistent and give them the 10. Okay.
Okay, that sounds good. I'll do that. I'm just not going to count down the last 5 seconds verbally. I
give 'em a
will do
5
it
so
with
they
my
know.
arm. Yep,
And I
I
can
will.
tell
I'll
the
hack it.
Right. And I'll
Hey,
tell the
quick question.
quarterback.
Quick question, don't we have a new rule change this year with regard to defensive penalty and starting the clock 40 instead of 25?
Yeah, we made, based on that rule, reset it to 40. I think, what is my mechanic, guys? Am I setting it up like that? I'm telling you to put it back on the 40. We'll communicate that. Two
Double
Yeah,
hands,
ball.
push them in the air.
This is 40 and one hand is 25.
So based on that rule, if the defense does something and the offense is still gonna go back to a 40-second play clock, we'll communicate that much.
Yeah, just give me a double pump and I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. The other thing I want to talk to my wings about is what are we looking at on a pass play? Since both these teams pass, I'm anticipating covering the end line, back of the end zone a lot. And if I have a pass at the back of the end zone, I'm going to need some help. I'm going to need some help. And Joe, Jeff, if you guys can watch the ball, if it's the back of the end line, you guys watch whether the receiver catches that ball and has possession, and I'll watch feet. Is that okay?
Good, yeah.
All right. On the sideline, we'll reverse it. You guys watch feet and I'll watch ball. Does that work?
Perfect.
Okay. Awesome. All right. I don't have anything else. Now, if I'm ready to get on the field, I'm excited. Let's go.
Let's
Just
do
one.
it.
Let's go.
Brian and company on chains. We've covered all those points. If you have any further questions, talk to Jeff beforehand. He's your guy. You guys are going to be communicating together. I think Jeff's already covered those. So let's go. Time to hit the field.
All right. Hey, Eric, thank you very much. I thought that was a pretty good pregame. It was a little long. We're a little late, but we got there early. So we have
I will
plenty of
say
time.
this pregame was a lengthy pregame that was used. You know, we still want to be comprehensive, but this one was from a championship game where we had a little more time than we normally would. So there was more points covered to really get your brains wrapped around the teamwork aspect and preparation for a championship game. So I appreciate everybody paying attention. Thank you.
Okay. I think we have a few questions, Brian, right?
Yeah, there were a few questions that came up. So we'll jump back, and I think this is actually Rob Walcott. And Rob asked when we were talking about counting and signals when I've got more, or when I have 11, a good count, or if I have less than 11, thumbs down. But he wanted to know, or he was suggesting that when you have more than 11, why not just the flag is what he asks. If you've got less than 11, who really cares anymore, just as long as you don't have 4 in the backfield. But to answer that, why would you signal that you have more than 11? And it could be a variety of things that maybe I miscounted and I'm kind of panicking, trying to get my partner to count and make sure that, hey, I think I counted more than 11. Would you help me out? I don't want to blow a play and throw a flag if there really weren't. The other thing that we might consider is oftentimes we'll see that 12th player running to the sideline. And if that's the case and the snap is not imminent, we can go ahead and at least let him get off the field if he knows. Now, if we believe that the snap is imminent and we've got more than 11, sure, that's probably when we're going to go ahead and kill the play, throw the flag, blow our whistles, and stop the clock. So legitimate, that's a good question. But I just wouldn't want to be flag happy if I see them making an effort to get off, and in my judgment he's going to make it off prior to the snap. I'm going to let him go. Another question came up from Mr. Rob. Do you want to add any more to that? Your question? I think you're muted. Rob, you're muted. Or your speaker's not working.
We can't hear you, Rob.
No.
Rob, we'll come back to you if you want to add to it. Maybe when we figure out your speaker issue. Another question came from Mr. Robinson, Eddie. What's the thought for fumbles beyond the line of scrimmage that we're going to drop a beanbag, and as opposed to all fumbles? And I'll answer that from maybe just a personal standpoint, that beyond the line of scrimmage, that beanbag could be used for a spot of enforcement, whereas behind the line of scrimmage, it's not. But personally, I may drop a beanbag just to be in the habit of, whether it's
Yes.
beyond the line of scrimmage or behind it. That way, at least I'm consistent. I'm not trying to judge, am I beyond the line? Am I behind the line? If I see a fumble, we just might drop a beanbag. And then what I kind of like to do is I like to let people know that I had a spot. So I make a big deal of walking over and picking up the beanbag just so that I look like I knew what I was doing. And another question or statement really came from Mr. Klingbeil. When the whiteout comes out to you and you tell them that you are back or you are on the line or at the end, he was advising that not to tell them whether they need to move up or not. Don't move a guy up. And that's a good practice, because if I tell a guy he's got to move up, one, I don't know if he's supposed to be on the line or he's not supposed to be on the line. And two, if I've got my guy moving up because I'm moving him up and the snap goes off, technically you have a foul, but I'm letting it go. And of course the opposing coach is going to lose his mind. So especially at the varsity level, we're not going to tell them where they should be. We're just going to tell them where they are. You are back, you are off the line, or you are on the line.
I might chime in there too. I like to use different verbiage because I think off and on, especially on a varsity level game, can be confusing. So I use in the backfield or on the line.
On the line or back, I'll say. Yep.
Sure, because they sound so much different.
And that's why I'm all for the visual cues. Like if you can point to the line of scrimmage and tell me that you're supposed to be on the line, we're good. If you can throw your hand back and point back to the backfield, I know you're supposed to be behind the line of scrimmage, and I'll call you that as long as you're in that area. But there's no confusion if there's visual cues.
Well, one thing I will do is they're coming out. I ask them, are you going to be on or off? So that eliminates that right there. And when they line up, I'll tell
Agree
them.
with you, Brad.
Right. It just visual cues. It makes it, there's no questions asked at that point.
Just so that everybody's clear, when they're off the line, the closest receiver is to a wing. Off the line, we're going to punch.
Yep.
We're going to punch our arm back to the backfield. Yep, just like that. And we're going to punch arm to the backfield. And you don't even need to tell him he's off. So a
Correct,
punch
but
is good enough for me.
Right.
But whatever you do.
What I'm saying is the players don't always know what that punch means. And so if they can be verbal, or if they can give me a visual cue, so that way the player and me are on the same page and there's no questions asked. And then I can relay that to my other wing official.
Perfect. Yep. Communication's key. Communication with the players and communication with the head coach.
Somebody once told me misperceptions rule the world.
Another thing just to add is oftentimes you might have 2 or even 3 receivers that come out your way. So it's good to kind of get to know those receivers where you can say 40, you are on the line, number 85, you are off. So you're communicating with both of them, because if I'm saying off or on, I've got 2 receivers out there and that may confuse them. So get to know their numbers and communicate with them in that way. Address them by number. Number 40, you are off the line, etc.
Perfect. Okay. Any other comments, Brian?
No, not that. Again, if some of you out there, if you would make sure to put your name and contact email.
The pregame meeting with the head coach.
I would appreciate that. That way we can make sure that we remain in contact. Mr. Sherman, you are absolutely right. Communication.
Formed.
All right. So we got a couple of minutes left here. I'd like to kind of go over our a real quick presentation regarding defensive pass interference.
Position.
So, all right, let me find, where do I hit share screen? There we go. Share. And from the beginning, here we go. All right. Everybody can see Seahawks, Green Bay Packers. All right, good deal. Okay, so this is a real quick visual presentation. Pass interference has been a challenge for all leagues, all officials. We're talking youth through adult through professional football. And so what people have done is tried to create categories for pass interference. So not all contact with a receiver or defender is pass interference. And so with these categories, it might help you explain and be able to judge a little bit easier on pass interference. So defensive pass interference in this list coming up here, we have 6 categories. Offensive pass interference, we've got 4 categories. Today, we're going to focus on the defensive pass interference. Okay, so first one is not playing the ball with early contact. Now, there used to be 7 categories in high school football. And what they've done is they've taken 2 of those categories and merged them into one because of a particular rule change a few years back. A few years back, there used to be a face guarding category for high school football. And since we no longer have a face guarding category anymore, face guarding is only a foul if it is early contact. So the next one was playing through the back of a receiver or defender, but this would be a receiver since this is defensive pass interference. Category number 3, a grab and restrict, an arm bar. And we'll go through and explain with these with the visual on each one of them, a hook and turn. All right, and then cutting a receiver off his route. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at. Oh, and by the way, defensive pass interference begins when the ball leaves the passer's hand. Okay, so when that ball is in the air, restrictions apply for the defense. All right, so this, in the past, if 59 here had not had contact with the receiver in the past in high school, this could have been possibly a face guarding foul. But now face guarding is not a foul because unless there is contact, which obviously here there's contact, this is not playing the ball with early contact. So category number 1, this is pass interference. All right. Playing through the back of a receiver. Okay. This kid in Palmer here, just over top of this guy from North Pole, trying to get to the ball, pass interference. A grab and restrict. So he's got him around the waist and he's restricting him from getting to that ball. So that's pass interference. Another grab and restrict. This is an arm bar. You can, if you look underneath number 21, you can see the defender's arm is up underneath his arm, pulling the arm down, preventing number 21, the receiver, from getting this ball. Here's another picture of an arm bar. He's got his arm held down so that he cannot physically move that arm to get to the ball. And it actually looks very clear when you see it. So you'll see an arm bar. You'll see guys going down the field and they're touching each other. Touching does not always create a pass interference. So any one of these categories, an arm bar, physically restricting the receiver from bringing that arm up. Okay, a hook and turn. So he's got him, usually he's got a hold of him on one hand and the other hand reaches around and turns him prior to getting the ball. He's not playing the ball, he's playing on the receiver. So hook and turn is another one of our categories. Another hook and turn. and another hook and turn. Again, one more hook and turn. All right, and the cutoff. Cutting a receiver out of his route while that ball is in the air, that is defensive pass interference. And another cutoff. He's cutting that receiver off from getting to that ball. That receiver's got his eye on the ball, and number, is that 51? Cuts him right off. All right. So we've learned that not playing the ball with early contact is category number 1. Number 2, playing through the back of a receiver. Number 3, grab and restrict. Number 4, the arm bar. Number 5, a hook and turn. And number 6, the cutoff. As a Whitecap, during my pregame, I'm going to ask my wings and back judge, if you give me a DPI, I want to know what you got. I want you to say, I don't want you to say, oh yeah, he touched him. I want to hear he was playing through the back. All right, Bruce, that was a total arm bar. I got DPI, number 35. And I'd like to get a number if possible. From what I'm understanding, Brian, you can help me out with this. A lot of schools are going to have mic this year, and we do want our referees mic'd up.
That is correct. Just to enhance the fan experience and also just to be able to communicate with coaches and those others that are enjoying the game. So a lot of schools have told me that they are either purchasing or they have mics. They just haven't pulled them out for us to use.
Okay, so as I explain, I'm going to go pass interference on the defense, number 35, arm bar. And I can explain a little bit. I've got to have practice at my communication skills though, Brian. Okay. All right, so we have on this play right here, do we have a grab and restrict or early contact, not playing the ball, early contact? I don't care what you call, as long as you give me pass interference and give me one of those categories, I'm good. All right. All right. Both offense and defense are allowed to make a bona fide attempt to catch a forward pass. This is not pass interference. All right. Not pass interference would be incidental contact. Inadvertent tangling of the feet. Now I get that a lot. I hear the fans even think, oh my God, that was pass interference. But if those feet got tangled, it was inadvertent. I got nothing. Okay. Touching a receiver that does not restrict either their ability to catch the ball. Okay, so that is not a DPI. All right. Unless they restrict the receiver from getting the ball. If the defender has position, not DPI. So the defender has the right to the ball just as equal as the offense. All right, so next month we're gonna work on offensive pass interference, 4 categories. I'm gonna show them to you real quick. And we'll talk a little bit more about that next month. Any questions? I see there's 6 questions in chat, Brian.
Actually, you answered one. It was from Dan regarding a defensive back going for the ball, cutting off the offensive player in an attempt to catch the ball with his full attention on the ball. He's wondering if this is a foul or just good positioning and speed by the defender. And I think you answered that with that both players have the same right to the ball. And if the defender is making a bona fide attempt to catch the ball, I think I would pass on any kind of pass interference call on that one. And then Andy says, your referral to arm bar brings up a question in high school football. Can a defender put his arm down in front of the receiver and gradually ride him out of bounds while the ball is in the air?
I think we're gonna have to look at whether there was an intentional act or not. What do you think, Brian?
I think if he's physically riding him out of bounds, that's one thing that he's taking him off his route. So
I think that's a restriction to me.
yes. And he also has a question. I don't know how easy it is. At least maybe you take a look, but he's your call on the Palmer player playing through the receiver. He seems to think there was some air there, which, you know, this is kind of one of the things I really like about football and the officiating is that we all have slightly different perspectives, different angles, different positioning, and we want to make sure that we get it right. So if Andy was on our crew and I had thrown a flag for some kind of pass interference, and I would expect Andy to come up and say, hey, Brian, I don't think that was pass interference. I saw air between them. So I don't think that that particular foul is a good foul. So we would have that discussion. And obviously we want to work together as a team. And if I was dead set that I saw pass interference and it was my flag, Andy would let me go with it, but he would also, again, try and talk me out of it and talk me into a better decision, like in this case.
Maybe even give you more information that maybe you didn't have. And I agree with that. I think it's important as officials to be receptive to another person's angle. And oftentimes we think we see something. Please look for help elsewhere, because sometimes our eyes play tricks on us. And, you know, if there's enough air there that, you know, the back judge, say I was back judge and I called, you know, playing through the back of the receiver. And if my wing came to me and said, Bruce, I saw a pretty good space between them, I would definitely look for help from the wing. Absolutely. And I would not have a problem eating my flag at all.
Bruce, I'm going to jump ahead, and we are recording this tonight and had a request if we could email this recording back out to everyone. And my response was, I think it's probably too large to email out, but Bruce, I can get you a copy of this. And Bruce, if you would share that YouTube site or whatever our site is that you post some videos on, that maybe in a few days guys could go back and look there.
Yeah, I'll be more than happy to. So yeah, if in fact, everybody that's on here, if there's anybody that you know and would like to recruit, please share that with them. You'll also find other videos on that YouTube channel. And
would you tell us what it is and put it in the chat?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember.
It's the number 1 frozen ref. 1 frozen ref. And
I'll type it in there. 1 frozen. Okay.
And so and what I'll do is I'll send this in an announcement, and Brian, you can just kind of forward that to everybody statewide if possible too, right?
Yes, I can do that.
Okay. All right. I think that kind of wraps things up. I see a couple more chats in there, Brian, or are we
I think we're good.
caught up?
Yep.
I'm going to read, did make clear that the defender using armbar was looking back at the ball all the time. It was technique taught in I thought. Kids weren't very good at it. Okay, thanks, Andy. Perfect. Well, I can tell you this: these coaches put a super huge investment into teaching these kids. They put a lot into the game. They put a lot of money into technology, and we definitely are lagging a little bit in our technology, but I don't think we're lagging in our efforts. I think we're really doing a good job trying to bring information and consistent information statewide. So we hope to do better and continue to be on this path to improving. Does anybody have any questions you want to bring up right now without the chat and just talk? I just saw what is AFO's Facebook group page called?
Anchorage Football Officials Association. Just type in Anchorage Football into Facebook, and we will accept you into our group.
Yeah, it's a closed group.
Yep, Anchorage Football Officials closed group. So if you guys can send me your email and you want to join our group, I will send you an invite. Okay, so I think everybody here has my email. If you do not, write my email down right now. My email is blmftbl@gmail.com.
I
And
think Eddie, I'm sorry, Bruce, Eddie has a question when you're done.
yeah, go for it.
Not really a question, just a clarifying remark, and it's for younger officials, is that DPI occurs once the ball is in the air, not prior to. So hand fighting at the line of scrimmage or on the route, you just have to make sure that nobody gains an advantage. But the DPI calls happen when the ball's in the air, not at any time prior to that. And that's the only thing that I wanted to bring up.
Perfect. That's absolutely true. Eddie, do you call ball somewhere?
Yes, sir. I call up in Fairbanks with Rob Wolcott.
Perfect. Look forward to working with you. Awesome. Well, if that's about it, I thank everybody for showing up today. I think few of us want to pool on how many people are going to show up. We had a pool on whether more than 15 were going to be on or not, and we ended up with 29, I think, at one point. So thank you, everybody, for being here, and I look forward to seeing everybody probably sometime end of next month or beginning of June.